The general returned in triumph, but he brought another woman with him. I couldn't take it anymore. He had gone on 3 expeditions and brought back 3 different women. Was he off fighting a war or just out kidnapping ladies? When Lu Ding returned from his first expedition, he brought back a frail, delicate woman. Xinger is my true love. I won't marry anyone but her. Zhan Xiangyu, let us divorce. Lan Xingni snuggled into Lu Ding's arms, looking at me and whispering in a tiny, pitiful voice, "How tragic. Is she about to be kicked out of the house? Divorce? Fine by me. But what is mine, I take with me." I took the divorce papers, dusted off my seat, and stood up. I took a slow stroll around the magnificent Lu estate, pointing at one item after another. My rosewood bed, my Suzhou embroidered screen, my carved red sandalwood chair. I walked over to the 2 of them and pointed at the grand, vermilion-painted front gates. Lu Ding frowned. "What kind of madness is this? Since when did the front gates of the Lu residence belong to you?" Lan Xingni chimed in, "Seizing your husband's property." "How thick-skinned." I laughed. "Lu Ding, open your dog eyes and look closely. Did your front gate look like this when I married into this family?" Lu Ding stared at the gates, his brow furrowed so tightly he could have crushed an insect. I kindly helped him remember. "Your gates were rotting and crooked, letting the wind whistle through. I spent a fortune hiring master craftsmen to forge these from iron and paint them vermilion. Everything in this house, from the furniture down to the pots and pans, was either part of my dowry or bought with it." "What? Do you think just because you lifted your leg to market, it becomes yours?" I glanced at Lan Xingni, whose face had turned pale. "And you, wanting to marry through these gates? My apologies, but the gates are mine." In the end, old Madame Lu decided to have her brought in through the back door in a small sedan chair to serve as a concubine. Old Madame Lu tried to comfort me. "Lan Xingni saved Dinger's life and is carrying his child. It is the Lu bloodline after all. We can't let the child be born without a status." The old woman's tone shifted, her eyes full of reproach. "Besides, you've been married for a year and your womb shows no movement." I couldn't help but shudder, touching my stomach. Back then, when I received news that my husband had been hit by a poison arrow and his life was uncertain, I was so terrified that I ate 3 roasted pig trotters to calm my nerves. Then I ate hawthorn cakes to aid digestion, pear soup to quench my thirst, and stewed beef to satisfy my cravings. My stomach was round and full. I rubbed my belly, laughing hollowly, and stumbled away, leaving old Madame Lu standing there in a daze. That night, curled up under my blankets, I was snacking on spicy chicken feet and reading a novel. Suddenly, the bright candlelight was eclipsed. Lu Ding stood by the bed. "Xiangyu," Mother told me, "the child is gone, but we can have another. After all, the Lu family needs a legitimate heir." He stepped closer, his warm hand reaching for my waist. I played the spoiled wife and delivered a sharp kick, grabbing a jade pillow and hurling it at him. With a loud thump, Lu Ding fell flat on his face, his nose bleeding as he saw stars. He gnashed his teeth, truing his eyes on me. "Zhan Xiangyu, you dare strike your husband?" I slowly looked up, my expression frozen. My eyes were brimming with tears. The tip of my nose was red, and my cheeks were smeared with tears. Actually, just the spicy oil from the chicken feet. I sniffled and sobbed. "Now you remember me. It's too late. You and concubine Lan are so deeply in love. Did you ever think of me?" For over 300 nights, I slept alone in an empty room. My only companions were the cold moonlight and my 120 dowry chests. Lu Ding turned and went to Lan Xingni's bed instead. The next morning, Lan Xingni swayed over to me, acting arrogant. "Some people even if they beg the old madame to stay, don't have the skill to keep their husband for a single night. She looked me up and down, speaking in a sarcastic tone. Madame, dressing so grandly today, I'm afraid it's all for naught. His lordship won't even look at you. I looked down at myself. Grand? It was just a Sichuan silk dress, a jade belt, and embroidered shoes, the most basic items from my family's tailor shop. My green jade hairpin, pearl necklace, and gold earrings were the most ordinary pieces from my family's jewelry shop. Even my hair oil and rouge were just standard stock from my perfume shop. I subconsciously glanced at Lan Xingni. Her pink dress was old and faded, and her silver hairpin was plain and styleless. Lan Xingni, seemingly stung by my gaze, jumped up. You're nothing but a filthy merchant with money. You've lost your husband's heart. What use is the title of first wife? Husband's heart? You act as if he's the emperor or something. I genuinely didn't get it. My maid, Zhen Tao, stepped forward. Miss, the carriage is ready. I nodded and stood up to leave. I knew it. You dressed up like that just to go out and tryst with some wild man. Jin Tao stepped up and slapped her. The princess is hosting a banquet for the ladies. My lady was invited. We don't have time for your nonsense. Lan Xingni clutched her face. A mere maid dares to strike me? She turned to me. If it's an invitation for the ladies, why didn't I receive one? You must be hiding it. I was genuinely shocked. A concubine? Merchants and servants are on the same level. Who do you think you are that they would invite you? The noble ladies of the capital loved hosting parties in their spare time, sometimes to admire flowers, sometimes to admire grass. Today's theme was admiring insects. The second daughter of the Minister of Revenue stood before a garden of fluttering butterflies and recited a poem. I was so bored, I yawned widely. When she finished, everyone gave polite applause. Wonderful! Wonderful! Another one. The young lady smiled triumphantly, her eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on me mid-yawn. This must be Madame Lu. I heard the lieutenant has returned to the capital. And he brought a pregnant woman with him? I snapped awake, flashing a professional smile. Indeed. Does the young lady need something? She covered her mouth and giggled. I used to think Lieutenant Lu was a man of dignified character from a respectable family. Now it seems he's just a skirt chaser, unworthy of you, madam. Good heavens, she said 36 words to me in one go. I was honored. You see, the noble daughters of the capital usually despised money-stinking merchants. They also looked down on the Lu family's fading status. They only sent me invitations out of respect for the Lu ancestors' former glory. Before marrying Lu Ding, I was determined to build my business, break into the elite circle, and become an imperial merchant. After a year of effort, I had been stuck at the first step. Today, someone actually initiated a conversation with me. I was moved to tears and grabbed her hand. Exactly, young lady. You truly have a keen eye and exquisite taste. The girl tried to pull her hand back but couldn't. Her face stiffened. The wife of the Vice Minister of Rights laughed softly. Men are all lustful. Madame Lu simply lacks the skill to keep her husband. To think such a beautiful woman would lose to a country bumpkin from the border. How embarrassing. I acted shy. Oh, am I beautiful? Thank you for the compliment, madam. The lively conversation drew many eyes. Even the princess looked over. I felt a sudden itch to seize the moment and said, It is as the madam said. The borderlands are windy and sunny. Most women have dark, cracked skin. Yet, the country girl has something special that caught Lu Ding's eye. Few women dislike beauty. The noble ladies leaned in to listen. I smiled mysteriously. The Jain family's caravans crossed the vast deserts of the western regions and discovered a miraculous plant, aloe vera. It moisturizes, beautifies, and removes spots. Even if you were hung from the city gates for 3 days and nights, your skin would remain white and smooth. Genuine aloe vera. Come to the Jayan family perfume shop today for an 8% discount. I secured my first big order from a noble family and walked home as if walking on air. The first step is always the hardest. Aloe vera had been sitting on the shelves for 3 months with no takers, but once that first order was placed, the demand was continuous. I grinned, checking my ledgers 10 times a day. Today, while I was reviewing accounts with my manager, Lan Xingni swayed past. She stopped and gasped. Is the madam openly keeping a pretty boy in the main courtyard? I glanced at her, too lazy to care. My young, handsome manager blushed silently. Lan Xingni said disdainfully, "Even if madam isn't favored by his lordship, you shouldn't fall so low as to find a little white-faced boy in white robes. Such a penniless look is a disgrace to the madam." The manager was wearing a white silk robe embroidered with silver patterns, elegant and understated. We looked at each other in silence. Lan Xingni sneered. "Buying a few decent clothes doesn't cost much." The other day, Lu Lang took me to Zhen Tuong's shop to pick out a pile of clothes and embroidered shoes. It only cost 100 taels. The manager glanced at her. He flipped through the tailor shop's ledger and read, June 9th, 1 goose yellow short coat, 1 bright red cotton skirt, 1 pair of turquoise embroidered shoes. Total, 119 taels and 3 copper coins. Oh, the stir-fried tomato and egg color combo I'd ignored for months finally sold. Wonderful news. Lan Xingni glared and touched the gold bracelet on her wrist. Yesterday, Lu Lan gave me this gold bracelet. It must have cost 300 taels. The manager narrowed his eyes, identified it, and checked the jewelry shop ledger. June 10th, gold-plated copper cloud pattern bracelet. Total, 25 taels and 7 copper coins. I leisurely clicked my abacus. Lan Xingni's chest heaved. Today he bought me a crab roe soup bun. A single one cost a tael of silver. The manager paused, then whispered to me, Our shops don't sell those. I slammed the abacus down in a rage. What? You let a cat eat my fat? Cut the Lu Estate's allowance immediately. What level of person do they think they are? Spending my money like that? I don't know what kind of fuss Lan Xingni made with Lu Ding, but at midnight, Lu Ding arrived with a face full of scratches and a dark expression. Zhan Xiangyu, who gave you permission to stop the family's allowance? I put down my novel. My money, I spend it how I want. Is it your turn to interfere? What, do you want to be a kept man? Lu Ding's face darkened. If I didn't value your business talent, do you think a mere merchant like you could enter the Lu gates? Fret over a bit of silver. What use are you to this family? I'll write the divorce papers right now. Divorce me? Fine. I slowly pulled out a stack of letters. The princess wants to come over for tea. I was worried the Lu gardens weren't big enough. Oh, and here's the Minister of Revenue's daughter and the Vice Minister of Rights' wife. I flipped through the letters. The elite Lu Xing once craved were now reaching out to me. I thought Lu Xing would be furious, but instead he looked at me with sudden affection. We've been married a year, yet the minister's daughter still remembers me. She is truly devoted. Back then, if my family hadn't fallen on hard times... What? The minister's daughter was once blind enough to like him? No wonder she was hostile toward me. Fortunately, that became my opportunity. Lu Ding got lost in his memories, rambling on. I picked my ear, feeling like I was hearing something filthy. Finally, Lu Ding looked down at me and said, Now that I have some military rank, I'll divorce you and marry the minister's daughter instead. My hand stopped. What are you doing? Don't you know ears are sensitive? Why are you telling jokes? I couldn't believe it. The minister's daughter doesn't want to see you. She's coming to buy perfume and rouge for the palace selection. How thick is your skin? A tiny lieutenant dreaming of the minister's legitimate daughter? Lu Ding was speechless. His face turned red, then green, then white. He flicked his sleeves and stormed off. I calmly picked up my novel, then hurriedly put it down and whistled for Jian Tao to follow him. Reality is always more entertaining than fiction. Jian Tao gave me a detailed report. Lu Ding returned to Lan Xingni's courtyard with a bottle of wine, drunk and muttering about how the Lu ancestors were once high nobility with 8 prime ministers and princesses fighting to marry in. How did it fall to this? These wretches are all snobs. A very pregnant Lan Xingni came out to support him. Lu Ding grabbed her. "Xinger, only you don't care about my poverty. You truly love me." Lan Xingni. "Huh?" Lu Ding said passionately. "Others may have wealth, but in the end, it's nothing. We have true love, as pure as gold." Lan Xingni. "They have gold?" Lu Ding frowned. "Xinger, do you also think I'm poor and look down on me?" Lan Xingni shook her head frantically. "How could I? As long as I'm with you, I'd endure anything, but I can't bear it for our child." She rubbed her belly, tears falling. Not even born, and already a secondary child of a concubine. A destined to eat husks and wild greens. The madam eats bird's nest and shark fin every day, but won't even give a bite to your child. Lu Ding pulled her into his arms. "If you bear a son, mother will love her grandson, and might agree to make you an equal wife. Jian Xiangyu has no children. In the end, all her things will belong to our child anyway. I'll go to the battlefield again and win you a title. I'll make sure you live in glory." Lan Xingni said shyly, "Swords have no eyes. I can't bear for you to take risks." Lu Ding said firmly, "You chose me when I was lowly. I must prove you chose correctly. Xinger, I will never fail you in this life." A year later, he returned from his expedition, bringing a second woman. "Ye Ling is my true love. I won't marry anyone but her. Zhen Xiangyu, let us divorce." Lu Ding spoke righteously. Ye Ling stood beside him, her gaze frank and direct. "Fine, I'll take my property." I lazily stood up and walked around the estate for the second time. My gold lacquered bed, my glass screen with peacock feathers, my black lacquered chair with 5-fold clouds. And I flicked my finger against a pillar. "The gold leaf carving on this pillar is mine too." Ye Ling said loudly, "Lu Lang and I are life and death companions. Whether it's a grand mansion or a thatched hut, I will stay with him." I was surprised by her frankness and looked at her in a new light. Lu Ding looked around his house in shock. "The furniture has all changed. It's so luxurious. Madame, did you make a lot of money this year?" Hearing him call me Madame made me feel disgusted, but thinking of this year's income, I couldn't help but feel smug. Originally, the minister's daughter followed my advice and used fragrant oils and fresh flowers during the palace selection. She attracted butterflies that swirled around her. The emperor was delighted and titled her Consort Fang. Among all the candidates, she was the only one with a title, instantly making her the star. The Jian family perfume shop became famous, sought after by every lady. Those who wanted favor, a good marriage match, or just loved beauty bought aloe vera gel and perfumes. Those who didn't want attention specifically bought my caterpillar hairpins and moth stickers to scare people away, causing chaos. Even the emperor was troubled by the trend. Before the Mid-Autumn Palace banquet, the minister's daughter sent me a letter. She said the other concubines all had special talents: singing, dancing, ice skating, or sword dancing. If she only knew how to recite poetry and play the zither, boring and unoriginal. She wanted to learn a dance but couldn't lower herself to do it, fearing her father's reproach. She wanted me to find a way. I accepted immediately. A palace banquet is a perfect marketing opportunity. I racked my brain for days and designed a special outfit for her. On the night of the banquet, she walked in wearing a silver white dress, carrying a zither. The body of the 7-string zither was as clear as crystal, and the strings shimmered like silver in the moonlight. It looked like a divine artifact. She played a melody so ethereal she truly looked like a celestial goddess, dignified yet mesmerizing. The emperor couldn't take his eyes off her. The next day, while the officials were still mourning the fact that they didn't own such a zither, Ganjun family crystal opened for business. There were transparent zithers, shimmering basins, clear paperweights, and magnificent frames. The gentlemen couldn't stay away. There were also transparent bowls, bright windows, and sparkling jewelry for the ladies. People spent money like water, and the shop was emptied instantly. The craftsmen worked overtime but still couldn't keep up. I had to build a factory in the outskirts and hire more workers. Recalling this, I looked at the beaming Lu Ding and smiled. Indeed, I made quite a bit, but it's all Jayan family property. It has nothing to do with your Lu family. Lu Ding gave a forced smile. I am your husband. Your money is my money. Now I am a 4th-rank general. With my protection, your business will only grow. I can use the money to smooth things over in court, and if I'm promoted, it benefits us both. I picked my ear. Huh? I thought I heard someone wanting a divorce. Lu Ding waved his hand quickly. How could I? A madam as brilliant as you, I treasure you. This Ye Ling, well, she saved my life. If you agree, we'll make her an equal wife. If not, a concubine is fine. I couldn't help but clap. Another savior? How strange. You've been at war for years, but I never hear of great military feats, only that you're constantly being saved by women. Can't you survive without a woman? I looked him over. Others have 1 wife. You want 2. Do you have 3 heads and 6 arms? No. Then how can you expect to enjoy the blessings of a man from Qi? The king of Qi from the Warring States period was famous for having many concubines. Thus, the phrase blessings of a man from Qi refers to a man with multiple wives or lovers enjoying a life of luxury and pleasure. However, it is often used sarcastically to criticize a man's indulgence in such desires. Insulted, Lu Ding's blood boiled. He slammed his hand against a pillar. The pillar shook, and a piece of gold leaf fell off. He stared, stunned, and his anger choked in his throat. In his frustration, he turned to Ye Ling. Ye Ling, you've made the madame unhappy. Just be a concubine. Ye Ling was confused. You promised me I'd be your wife. Now you change your mind? Why should I agree? Lu Ding sneered. Many would kill to be the concubine of a 4th-rank general. I value you. That is your good fortune. If you leave me, where can you go? In the capital. You'd work odd jobs and wouldn't earn enough to rent a room the size of a pigsty. Ye Ling said firmly. I'll just go back to the border. The world is wide. There's a place for me. I didn't expect this girl to be so tough. I liked her style and offered an appreciative smile. Lu Ding saw me smile and actually blushed, thinking I was mocking his inability to keep a woman. He looked at Ye Ling with disappointment. Lin Ni, I thought you valued me as a person. I didn't realize you only wanted the status of first wife. It seems you're just like any other gold digger. I misjudged you. Ye Ling grew anxious. It's not that. When I saved you, I didn't even know you were from a noble family. Lu Ding bowed his head, whispering, Is that so? Then why won't you marry me? I don't know how Lu Ding convinced her, but Ye Ling agreed to be a noble concubine. Another small sedan chair through the back door. On their wedding night, I prepared 5-flavor melon seeds, salted peanuts, and sweet fruit wine, ready to hear Jayan Tao's report. While Lu Ding and Ye Ling were in bed, Lan Xingni burst in, her eyes red as she sobbed. Lu Lang, you're finally back. I've suffered so much waiting for you. I couldn't eat or sleep. I never expected you to bring home a concubine. You said you'd make me an equal wife. You said you'd never fail me. Was it all a lie? Lu Ding looked at her and froze. Are you Lan Xingyi? It's only been a year. You've grown quite round. You don't look like someone who couldn't eat or sleep. Lan Xingyi was far from her former delicate self. Her face was swollen, covered in freckles, and she had gained a lot of weight. She shrank back into the shadows. I carried your child for 10 months, enduring every hardship. I nearly died during childbirth. Fortunately, the baby is healthy and looks just like you. Lu Long, look. Lu Ding was overjoyed. I have a son? The Lu line has an heir, Lan Xingyi whispered. It's a girl. Lu Ding's face immediately went cold and he pulled his hand away. Lan Xingyi almost dropped the baby. The infant began to cry. Lu Ding frowned. So noisy. You gave birth to a losing money girl and you bring her to me? You've ruined my happy day with your bad luck. And looking like that, you disgust me. Get out. Lan Xingyi wept. I was once young and beautiful. Now you insult me for the sake of this new concubine? Ye Ling said seriously. I am not just any concubine. Lu Ding agreed. Lin Ni is my savior. She is a noble concubine. She isn't like you. Lan Xingyi looked at Ye Ling with hatred. You're so proud, aren't you? Let me tell you, I also saved him. I also had his vows. Look at me now. Do you think you'll escape the same fate? Ye Ling tensed. Lu Ding held her tight and yelled, A wretch like you dares compare yourself to Lin Ni? Before you even entered this house, you did something dirty and hid your pregnancy to force me to marry you. Lin Ni is pure. She is the one I love. I will never fail her. Ye Ling relaxed and looked at Lan Xingyi with contempt. Lan Xingyi just laughed and cried, muttering, Fine, never fail her. The next morning, Lan Xingyi came to my courtyard and knelt. Madame, please be merciful. Xingyi is willing to be your servant. I was confused. I'm not merciful. And I don't want you. Lan Xingyi said nothing but began kowtowing. The hard stone floor rang with the sound of her forehead hitting it. I admit, my heart ached, not for her, but for the floor. She really knew my weaknesses. Stop. If you break that stone, it costs 5,000 taels. So, Lan Xingyi became my servant. Meanwhile, Ye Ling, the new arrival, was being virtuous. She received an allowance of 2 taels a month, but refused to spend it, hoarding it instead. She wouldn't eat the fruit or cakes provided, insisting on plain porridge and greens. She wouldn't wear the custom-made clothes, preferring to sew her own. She woke up before dawn to cook, scrub, and wash. She even dug up the beautiful flowers in her courtyard to plant cabbage and raise ducks. The constant quacking and the smell of manure were everywhere. One day, she walked past my courtyard and stared. I was lounging on a swing, eating snacks and reading ledgers. I had 5 or 6 kinds of treats on the table, surrounded by 4 or 5 maids, one holding an umbrella, one fanning me, one peeling grapes, and one shelling walnuts. I even had a sturdy manservant grilling mutton for me. Ye Ling stepped forward. Madame, this is too much. Even his lordship is overshadowed by your extravagance. The ancients said a husband is the sky. You are defying heaven. You are unworthy of your status. It would be better if I were the first wife. Lan Xingyi, who was shelling walnuts, stopped and suddenly lunged forward, slapping Ye Ling twice. Don't be rude to the madam. Then, before Ye Ling could react, she ran back to my side and went back to shelling walnuts. Zhen Tao, peeling grapes, whispered, Ging, did that feel good? Lan Xingyi nodded vigorously. So good. Ye Ling was dazed. Madame, you just let your servant hit me? I haven't had a good battle in a while and felt a bit itchy. Let's focus. You said I'm unworthy. Why? Yeling, distracted, replied confidently, "You aren't filial to your mother-in-law, unlike me who massages her shoulders and serves her tea every day." "But she spends my money," I noted. Yeling choked, then continued, "You don't care for your husband, unlike me who washes his face, rinses his mouth, and changes his clothes every day." "But he spends my money," Yeling got annoyed. "You don't fulfill your duties, unlike me who wants to bear him a son." "But the children spend my money," Yeling was furious. "Do you only think of silver? You're so wasteful. Having 4 or 5 people serve you, even a mountain of gold would run out." "I am very thrifty," I countered. When she looked skeptical, I turned serious. "For example, I have a beauty who serves Lu Ding tea by day and washes my feet by night. 1 person, 2 jobs, very thrifty." Yeling turned pale and looked like she was going to gag. I popped a grape into my mouth. She jumped up again. "All this fruit on the table. Can you even eat it all? I heard your private kitchen uses lard for everything and uses a dozen spices for meat. Even royalty isn't this wasteful. Think of the hard-working farmers." I tilted my head. "That's why I give them money. The farmers get paid, I get fed, and the maids get a meal. Who's unhappy besides you?" "I heard you stopped the fruit and cake orders for your courtyard. The fruit seller is worried sick, wondering if his fruit is bad. Because of you, he lost a big contract and has to hawk his goods on the street. Some of it will rot. You think you're saving money, but you're taking away someone's livelihood." I shook my head. "You want to be the mistress of the house, but you're so stingy it's laughable. If you cut clothes and food, Lu Ding will look gaunt and ragged at work. What will people think? Without a proper appearance, how can he succeed in politics? It's embarrassing. Later, the princess and the noble ladies are coming. Don't come out and shame us." Yeling left, looking like she'd seen a ghost. Today's party was special. No tea or cakes, just a whole roasted sheep. The princess sat there majestically, slicing a piece of mutton and dipping it in sauce. She squinted in satisfaction. "The minister's daughter isn't here, so I don't have to listen to her poems. This is much better." The vice minister's wife giggled. "The Lu family is certainly wealthy. Madame Lu is truly the richest merchant in the capital. It's just a pity General Lu is blind, ignoring a money tree like you to take a crude border woman as a concubine. It really stains the Lu reputation." I ate happily. As my business grew and I socialized with these ladies, my status rose. Even the vice minister's wife was willing to flatter me. I was feeling great. Suddenly, the minister's second daughter whispered, "Madame Lu is just a merchant after all, not much higher than a commoner. I heard that Nam Tuong, near the border, produces a lot of jade and gems. During tributes, they pass through the borderlands. Those tribute items, Madame Lu has probably never even seen them. But while border women see them as common things," I sneered. Ever since her sister entered the palace and became consort Fong with my help, this younger sister had been green with envy. She insulted me every chance she got, yet every time I released a new product, she was the first one to rush in and buy it. I truly had a love-hate relationship with her. I could only play deaf and mute, refusing to lower myself to her level. The princess slammed the table. Nam Tuong might pay tribute on the surface, but they are restless at heart. They frequently kidnap people from our borders, severing limbs with such savage cruelty that it strikes fear into everyone's hearts. Every time the emperor mentions this, he frowns in frustration, wishing he could wipe them out. Yet Nam Tuong has a powerful army, and our borders struggle to hold them back. The people there live in utter misery. Such a heavy topic dampened the atmosphere of the banquet. I quickly smiled and poured more wine. "Would you ladies like to try the new vintage from my winery? It's brewed from Nam Tuong sugarcane with improved techniques. It's sweet, refreshing, and has a long-lasting aftertaste. Drinking a bit of sweet wine can lift the spirits, and it helps the people of the borderlands earn a little silver. Isn't that a win-win? The ladies, giving me face, took a sip, and their expressions brightened with surprise. This wine is truly delicious, sweet, but not too intoxicating. It suits us perfectly. I smiled. It's called Kim Wine, sold at the J.N. Family Wine House. As per tradition, it's 8% off for the first 3 days. I never expected this sweet wine to sell so well. The raw materials were quickly exhausted, so I went to Nam Tuong to buy more at a high price. I built a distillery in a southern city to avoid transport troubles. Worried that a business far from my site might have loopholes, I decided to personally inspect the south. While I was packing, Ye Ling pushed forward and said hesitantly, "Madame, can you take me with you?" Without thinking, I replied, "No." Ye Ling was indignant and pointed at Lan Xingni. "Then why can she go?" Lan Xingni excitedly rolled up her sleeves, waiting for her to be impudent. Ye Ling cautiously took 2 steps back and shut her mouth. Lan Xingni pouted, feeling bored. "I'm the madam's person now. I don't fight you for the husband. Why are you fighting me for the madame? Where's the logic in that?" Ye Ling said nothing more and left in silence. That night, Lu Ding returned home reeking of alcohol. He collapsed on his bed and hollered for Ye Ling to change his clothes. He shouted until his voice was hoarse, but no one came. Thinking I had placed her under house arrest, he stormed into the main courtyard to demand an explanation, only to find it empty. Only a servant was sweeping the yard, who promptly shooed him out with a broom. "My lady has gone out to clear her head. No outsiders allowed. Move aside. I need to lock the gate." Meanwhile, I stepped off the carriage at an inn and saw Ye Ling dressed as a simple maid. I was speechless but said flatly, "Since you're here, you're responsible for your own expenses and actions." Ye Ling nodded frantically, looking at the scenery with wonder. Lan Xingni and the other beauties were also delighted by the vast lakes and weeping willows. I had the carriage slow down, leading these women who had never traveled far on a leisurely journey. It took 3 months to reach Nam Prefecture. Unfortunately, several counties in the south were suffering from drought. Crops had failed and farmers had run out of food, forcing them to migrate toward the cities. My carriage was blocked on the road by a group of refugees. "Master, madam, please, show some mercy. Give us some buns. My boy, Cao Zhan, hasn't had a full meal in 3 days." He pulled his children down to kowtow. This was a dirt road, not my expensive stone tiles, so I didn't feel bad. I pulled the curtain and whispered, "Ignore them. Keep moving." Ye Ling followed the carriage, hesitating. "These people are so thin. They look pitiful." I said coldly, "Hurry up." Ye Ling said crossly, "Madame, you aren't short on food." This child could live a few more days with a little help. The Buddha says, saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Are you not afraid of karmic retribution for watching them die? You are wealthy but heartless. I ignored her. Ye Ling pulled things from her pockets. "Eat these cakes first. If that's not enough, I have some silver scraps." The refugees' eyes turned red at the sight of money. They swarmed her, shouting, "Thank you, lady. You are a living bodhisattva. Save us completely. Give me that hairpin too, so my boy can eat meat buns for days. And the earrings." Ye Ling was shoved to the ground. Every valuable on her person was stripped before the mob dispersed. She sat in the dirt, hair disheveled and clothes stained. I pulled the curtain and looked at her. "Satisfied now? Let's go." Ye Ling argued, "I only lost some jewelry, but I saved lives and earned merit, not like you, who lacks virtue." That night I heard Ye Ling sobbing in the room next door. She didn't have much jewelry to begin with, only what was bought when she became a concubine. Losing it all hurt. It annoyed me, so I moved her to a room further away. The next day, I inspected the factory on the outskirts of the city. The massive site was divided into a dozen workshops according to the production process, each employing about 100 people. Nearby, dozens of thatched huts were being built by another 100 people, mixing mud. At noon, the factory started serving lunch. Workers lined up, each receiving a bowl of thick millet porridge, a plate of stir-fried vegetables, a boiled egg, and a bowl of bone broth. Their clothes were ragged, but their eyes were bright and their faces full of smiles. The young manager finished his report and looked at the crowded canteen. These refugees were miserable before. Lately their spirits are much better. If you hadn't given them work and provided food and shelter, how could they have such good days? Ye Ling looked on in shock. These people were strong and fit. She hadn't realized they were the same refugees. She then understood that the people yesterday weren't working. They were just begging. Perhaps they were just lazy? I said with satisfaction, "To win over the prefect, I donated 100,000 pesos of millet and built an orphanage. If Nam Prefecture is stable, our business can thrive. You've worked hard. You've done well." The young manager blushed, his eyes shining as he waited for more praise. I racked my brain. "Oh, you've tanned a lot. You've also grown thinner. Your clothes look baggy. Don't worry, I see it all. I'll give you a raise when we return." His face visibly slumped. I grew wary. A raise wasn't enough? Did he want a share of the profits? When we returned to the capital, Lu Ding was fuming. "Zhang Xiangyu, do you still know the way home? Do you have any respect for me as the head of this house? And you, Ye Ling, get over here and massage my shoulders. What use is spending all day playing outside?" Ye Ling walked over obediently. "Husband, I wasn't playing. I was out seeing the world with the madam." Lu Ding sneered. "What world could you women see? If you hadn't used my title as a fourth-rank general, bandits would have kidnapped you long ago," I sneered back. "We had a dozen sturdy guards and flew the JN family merchant banner." "What does that have to do with you?" Lu Ding yelled. "Don't think a bit of silver lets you defy heaven. Without me, you're nothing but a merchant." I didn't have time for him. I summoned my managers to check on the business. It turned out that while I was away, a major incident had occurred. The JN family wine house had been making a fortune with Kim wine, making other establishments jealous. They tried to copy it, but my recipe had been perfected. Their versions were bitter and harsh. Seeing that they couldn't compete, they turned to dirty tactics. In front of a crowd, a lady drank our wine and suddenly collapsed, foaming at the mouth. The hall went into an uproar, with people cursing us for selling poison. People had been harassing the wine house every day since, nearly shutting it down. The manager was so worried he was losing hair. He had hired a doctor, but the doctor just shook his head and told him to find someone else. The young manager patted his shoulder. "It's not your fault. The lady won't blame you." Then he looked at me. "From what I've gathered, the wine houses behind this are backed by a certain minister. That's why they're so bold. They even bribed the local doctors to refuse us, leaving us with no voice." My heart sank. As the saying goes, a commoner cannot fight an official. No matter how much money I had, Lu Ding was right. I was just a merchant at the bottom of the social hierarchy. How could I fight a third-rank official? I thought for a moment and immediately sent people to investigate both the inside and outside of the wine house for suspicious characters. I also wrote a letter to Consort Fang, but asking her to send a royal physician from the palace. The letter was delivered to her younger sister, who made things difficult until I gave her a pile of jewelry. I also reached out to the ladies I knew. They were hesitant. If it was a small matter, they'd help, but opposing a minister was beyond them. Business grew bleaker. New wine from the factory piled up in the warehouse, and we were losing over 100 taels a day. Even my perfume and jewelry shops were being affected by the bad reputation. I was physically and mentally exhausted. Lu Ding, seeing my state, was gleeful and came to mock me. Finally, the minister's sister went to the palace. Consort Fang immediately sent a royal physician. I felt like a drowning person catching a branch. I gathered people, beat gongs and drums in front of the wine house. Bang gave out free snacks to draw a crowd. The royal physician was indeed reliable. With just a pulse check, he identified the poison. In front of the gates, we set out several large vats of wine. The physician used silver needles to test each one, proving they were untainted. The manager then brought forward witnesses, thugs, who had been bribed by rival houses to plant the poison. The poison found in their rooms matched the physician's diagnosis. With the conspiracy exposed, I scooped a ladle of wine from a vat and drank it in one go. The JN family values integrity above all. We have never done anything to harm people. The poisoning was a setup by villains. Now that the truth is out, I ask you all to bear witness. Some people cheered and drank the free wine, but others were skeptical. You say others are villains, but all merchants are greedy. Is the JN family any different? I replied. They say merchants are greedy because after measuring grain, they add an extra handful to make a peak. The people see the merchant's generosity and are willing to buy. That is the kind of greedy merchant the Jain family is. A high-pitched voice called out, "Well said, truly a silver-tongued merchant." I looked up to see a grand eunuch stepping off a carriage. My heart skipped a beat. Was that minister more powerful than I thought? But the eunuch said, "Manager Jaeun, do not be afraid. I am here by the emperor's command to bestow a reward." He addressed the crowd loudly. During the drought in Nam Prefecture, Manager Jaeun donated 100,000 pequels of millet, opened soup kitchens, built factories to employ over 1,000 refugees, Ban established an orphanage. The prefect of Nam Prefecture reported this to the emperor. His Majesty was deeply moved and has personally written a plaque for Manager Jane. Bring it forth. A young eunuch presented a plaque and carefully removed the red silk. 4 large characters were revealed. Benevolent merchant saving the world. The crowd gasped. I was overjoyed. I had helped the prefect gain a major achievement and gifted him a set of crystal stationery titled Pure and Upright. That old man certainly knew how to return a favor. With the emperor's handwriting, who would dare bully my business again? The news spread like wildfire. The plaque was hung in the wine house, drawing even more customers than before. The Jaeun family's reputation reached a new peak. The minister who had tried to ruin me was reprimanded by the emperor for competing for profit with the people and lost face. Lu Ding no longer dared to call me a small merchant, but he also couldn't bear to look at me, becoming as cold as ice. I continued my life drinking tea and reading novels after finishing my work. Lan Xingni started learning martial arts from Jaeun Tao. Her slaps grew fast and powerful. Ye Ling had been with us for a year but was still childless. She was forced to drink bitter tonics by old Madame Lu. The manager returned to the capital, his skin fair again and his physique stronger. He reported to me daily in his finest clothes. Kim wine is 2 taels a bottle but still sells out. We've built another distillery. Nam Tuong sugarcane is everywhere. Should we lower the purchase price? I looked at the profits. No, keep the old price. Within 3 years, the price will drop naturally. 3 years later, I took a bottle of Kim wine to the princess's estate. I have been buying sugarcane at high prices in Nam Tuong and selling grain at low prices. Seeing the profit, the farmers there stopped planting rice and switched to sugarcane. Now the cane is ripe for harvest. I am willing to offer this wine to the emperor. The princess caught the hidden meaning and stared at me. She laughed and clapped. This is a grand strategy, depleting Nam Tuong's food reserves. Our kingdom can win without lifting a sword. Madame Lu, you are truly a strategist. To be a mere merchant is a waste of your talent. When this is done, the emperor will surely reward you. Less than 6 months later, the emperor mobilized troops to strike south. Yi Lu Ding had to go to war again. Before leaving, he held Ye Ling's hand. Lin Ni, wait for me to return, and I will make you my first wife. I will win you a title. Ye Ling said tearfully, just return safely. Nothing else matters. Lan Xingni, eating melon seeds nearby, mimicked Lu Ding's voice. Lin Ni, I will never fail you in this life. Ye Ling was moved to tears while Lan Xingni rolled her eyes, spat out a seed shell, and walked away. Sure enough, 6 months later, Lu Ding returned with a third woman. Nu Ni is my true love. I understood, nodded, and prepared to tally my assets. Madame, I want to take another concubine. I paused. What? Do you want 4 to make a mahjong set? Lu Ding held Nguyen Nu proudly. I was afraid you'd be lonely and wanted to find you a friend. Nu Ni loves me and doesn't care about status. If you don't mind, we'll pick an auspicious day to bring her in. Nguyen Nu snuggled against him. Is this the madam? She looks so scary. Not like me, who only knows how to love Big Brother. Lan Xingni's lip twitched. Sister, did you steal my script? I stared at Nguyen Nu for a moment, then stood up. The position of first wife is yours. Lu Ding, let us divorce today. Lu Ding was stunned and tried to stop me. Madame, let's talk. Why do you want a divorce every time something happens? Lan Xingni shoved Lu Ding aside and chased after me. I'm going with the madam. Ye Ling suddenly appeared at the gate, looking cold. She smashed her bowl of medicine. I'm going with the madam too. She stepped up to Lu Ding and slapped him twice. Ungrateful, shameless man. Lu Ding was dazed. Before he could get angry, Sai had already jumped on a carriage and sped away. In the carriage, Lan Xingni looked back. Ye Ling was standing there. I told the driver to go to the princess's estate. The princess had been very kind to me since the wine incident. Seeing me flustered, she asked, Madame Lu, don't worry. What happened? I am no longer Madame Lu. We have divorced. Lu Ding's new woman has large earlobes, thick lips, and marks on her neck, unlike Central Plains people. Lu Ding is a brute who doesn't know women's fashion, but I've traded everywhere. Those are marks from Nam Tuong noble jewelry. That woman is likely a spy. After passing the problem to the princess, I hurried to the magistrate to register my divorce. I then had my manager and some sturdy men go to the Lu estate to move my dowry and assets. Yes, I had kept the divorce papers Lu Ding signed when he first wanted to marry Lan Xingni for just this occasion. With them, my manager cleared out the Lu house. Lu Ding tried to stop them, but my manager wasn't easily bullied. I didn't care about their squabble. I went home and slept. When I woke up, my father was sitting by my bed. Daughter, how did you divorce and bring home someone else's concubines too? I grinned. A daughter of the JN family never takes a loss. My father rubbed his hands. You used to say Lu Ding was handsome. Why didn't you have a child before the divorce? You've built such a big business. Cotton factories, rubber factories. You need an heir. I think our manager is good, handsome, and treats you well. I smiled. Father, with such a big business, one heir isn't enough. Don't worry, I've trained over 100. They'll start working next year. My father's eyes went wide. The orphanage I built years ago wasn't just for charity. I gave those 100 children good food and education so they could manage JN family properties nationwide. Last year, I inspected them. Most were abandoned girls, now chubby, adorable, and smart. They called me Grand Manager in sweet voices. I didn't need bitter tonics or the pain of childbirth. For a little silver, I had 100 wonderful daughters. It was a bargain. One day, lounging on my swing, the manager reported that every piece of furniture, even the pots and pans, had been brought back from the Lu house. The iron gates were gone, and the gold leaf had been scraped off the pillars. Even the fruit trees had been dug up and moved. The whole capital was talking. I nodded. It's good that everyone knows I'm divorced. The manager said the Lu house was now an empty shell, a laughingstock. Lu Ding, desperate for face, still wanted a grand wedding with Nguyen Nu, but only a few colleagues accepted the invitation. The high-ranking officials I knew all made excuses. I laughed. When the guests arrive, they won't even have chairs to sit on. The manager looked at me and stammered, "My lady, do you want to remarry?" I am willing to recommend myself. I'll even change my name to Jayan. I teased him. Is that enough? Your father would have to change his too. On his wedding day, Lu Ding rode a tall horse, acting proud as he went to fetch his bride. I sat at my gate to watch the spectacle. He looked at me with disdain. I have great military achievements. I'll be a first-rank official soon. Yet a foolish woman would rather be a merchant than a titled lady. No matter how much money you have, can you outrank an official? With power, wealth comes naturally. Keep your petty silver. From now on, the glory of the Lu family has nothing to do with you, I replied lazily. A clean break, and each to their own happiness. Remember to go to the bathroom when you're full and wear a coat when it's cold. Hurry up, or your happy day might turn sad. Lu Ding snorted and led his procession away. Just as he finished the ceremony with Nguyen Nu, officers burst in. General Lu Ding, you are under arrest for harboring a foreign spy and conspiring with the enemy. To the dungeons. The guests panicked. The celebratory music stopped and turned into a funeral dirge. Lu Ding's eyes widened. Impossible. I am innocent. Nu Ni, is it you? Nguyen Nu had already thrown off her veil and was leaping over the wall. The officers couldn't catch her, and she ran straight to my house. As she entered, 5 secret guards dropped from the sky. I had borrowed them from the princess just in case. Nguyen Nu, trapped, snorted, and threw a powder from her sleeve. The guards couldn't dodge, and they fell, screaming as the powder corroded their skin. Nguyen Nu sighed. Such precious poison. I meant it for you, but I wasted it on these lackeys. How tragic. Maybe cutting you piece by piece will be more fun. Her beautiful face twisted into a cruel smile as she stepped toward me. I sat on my swing, eyes wide. You have the wrong person. I'm just a merchant. I have no grudge against you. If you're going to kill me, at least tell me why. Nguyen Nu hissed. You think I don't know? You're the one who defeated Nam Tuong. You destroyed us. You lured our farmers away with massive profits until no one would plant rice. Our treasury was full of gold, but you cut off the grain trade so we couldn't buy food. My brave soldiers had to go to war on empty stomachs. I am the princess of Nam Tuong, yet I lost to a merchant like you. I won't die in peace unless I kill you. She lunged at me with a dagger. In that life or death moment, Ye Ling and Jayan Tao rushed forward to block her. I kicked the ground, and my swing chair suddenly slid backward. But Nguyen Nu was fast, and the dagger grazed my arm. As she raised it to strike again, the soldiers finally caught up and subdued her. I smiled at her. I understand now, thank you. But if I were you, I wouldn't talk so much. And better luck in the next life. Nguyen Nu, pinned to the ground, looked up in disbelief. What sorcery did you use to move so fast? I pointed to the wheels under my chair. These are called wheels. Guess what? They're made from Nam Tuong rubber. Now you can die in peace. Nguyen Nu was so angry she spat blood and fainted. Lan Xingni, stunned by the chaos, ran to me and tore my sleeve to suck the poison from the wound. I stared at the black blood she spat out. The dagger was poisoned. I felt dizzy and lost consciousness. I woke up half a month later. The doctor said if Lan Xingni hadn't acted so fast, I would have died. We had both been unconscious. The conspiracy case was over. The manager, now thin and haggard, fed me porridge and told me the results. Lu Ding truly knew nothing. He was just a fool blinded by lust. Ningguan Nu had tried to get military secrets from him, but I had exposed her too soon. The emperor was furious that a general could be so blind as to bring a spy home 3 times. However, in honor of his past service, the emperor spared his life but stripped him of all rank and barred his descendants from office forever. The Lu family's dreams of glory were dead. As for me, I had weakened Nam Tuong's economy and stopped a spy. The emperor was so impressed he titled me a first-rank lady of the state and made the Jain family imperial merchants. I accepted the decree with honor. When I saw Lu Ding standing outside my gate looking miserable, I teased him. This first-rank title, I don't suppose you requested it for me. It truly is a grand glory. Lan Xingni and Ye Ling, now recovered, stood in the yard and mimicked Lu Ding. Xiang Yu, I will never fail you in this life. We laughed, and Lu Ding's face grew darker. The Lu family couldn't show their faces in the capital anymore. Old Madame Lu decided to sell the house and return to their ancestral village. Before leaving, Lu Ding came to say goodbye. Xiang Yu, the biggest mistake of my life was failing you. When we first married, we were happy. Can you give me another chance? He looked at me expectantly, only to see 10 handsome men lined up in front of me, doing push-ups. They were all different types, refined, rugged, delicate, strong. Lu Ding's eyes nearly popped out. This is, I said flatly, is only a man allowed to have concubines? My last marriage taught me a lesson. A man can lack many things, but his waist must be strong. Lu Ding nearly coughed blood. Don't slander me. How is my waist not strong? I waved him away, and Jian Tao escorted him out. He stood outside the gate, yelling, Jian Xiang Yu, explain yourself. When was my waist not strong? I was just tired. I had Jian Tao shut the gate to block out the stares of passers-by. The manager looked at the 10 men panting on the ground and ordered coldly, What are you staring at? Another 100 push-ups? Finish them or else. Then he leaned in and whispered in a husky voice, My lady, my waist is very strong. I laughed. Oh, prove it. He blushed. Go do your 100 push-ups first. The days passed peacefully. Lan Xingni's daughter had been taken by the Lu family, so she went to work at the orphanage to raise the children there. Ye Ling became a supervisor at the factory. Her blunt nature was perfect for catching thieves and helping those in need. The princess and consort Fang were both good friends of mine. The emperor relied on me. As long as I didn't make a major mistake, I was set for life. I didn't want to marry again. The manager handled everything for me. I spent my days checking ledgers and reading novels. The orphans grew up and began managing my business nationwide. One day, I found a novel based on me called The Legend of the Grand Manager. I read it with interest, reflecting on my life, marrying into nobility, building factories, supporting a consort, outwitting rivals, and defeating a foreign princess. I couldn't help but smile. My life truly was a legend. At the very end, the book claimed I kept 10 men to absorb their essence and live for 1,000 years. Now that was a bit too legendary.